Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner, the podcast where we dive deep into all things Microsoft Dynamics, including regulatories and all things that comes with it. Whether you're a seasoned expert or just starting your journey into the world of Dynamics 365, this is your place to gain insights, learn new tricks, and hear from industry experts. I'm your co-host, Chris.
And this is Brad. This episode is recorded on December 6th, 2024. Chris, my mind is blown.
Same.
We just had the opportunity to speak with an individual that has so much responsibility and a lot of pressure on him man. With the application. He and his team do so many things that a lot may not even think about. And we also learned about a new module that's going to be released in Business Central 2024 Wave 1, hopefully.
Unheard of.
Right?
New module?
I don't remember the last time they added a new module. But we did have the opportunity to also talk about regulatory, global, and localization features of the Business Central application. With us today, we had the opportunity to speak with Aleksandar Totovic. Good evening.
Hi guys.
Good afternoon. There he is.
Yes, afternoon or evening, because I'm in Copenhagen. This is definitely evening. In other part, this is definitely evening here.
Oh yes, yes. The time zones do a wonderful thing, but fortunately, we can still get together. It's been quite a short period of time since I had the opportunity to speak with you. How have you been?
In the meantime, I was sick. And I had some bronchitis, and I had, I don't know, animation of voice cords. I could barely speak for 3-4 days. Now I'm better. I still didn't finish with being sick, but let's say I'm half, so I can speak.
You're in the mend.
No, that's good. Well, I'm happy that you're...
And in the meantime, I moved here to Copenhagen. We need to finish a few things, so I'm not at home. I didn't plan travel in December. It suddenly appeared. Yeah.
So you have a lot going on, but thankfully you were able to speak with us. I've been looking forward to speaking with you. I know Chris has been as well. We've been talking about it, and we were excited to talk with you since our last discussion. But before we jump into it, for those, which I think there are very few, that don't know of you or know who you are, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, thank you. And my full name, Aleksandar Totovic. This is specific for pronunciation, not Totovic, whatever. On the end, I don't care. And I'm currently product manager for Business Central, responsible for regulatory features, legislation features, and as we call these global features. What kind of global features? Everything what is not directly connected with finance or supply chain, but this is necessary to be as a global feature. Yeah, this is on my desk as well. And when it comes about regulatory features, this is connected with all global regulatory, but also with all localizations. So it means 21 localization covered by Microsoft. And yes, and I'm already supporting partner-based localization. That means when we enable new countries, this is not something what I'm doing, supporting partners to build partner-based localizations. And this is what I'm doing the last 2 years. Before that, I was in Microsoft as well, and for long that I was an MVP. I don't start with division now and whatever. So shortly that's time.
I am tired just hearing you say regulatory and localizations and global. That sounds to me, and when we were speaking, just working with regulatory requirements across the several regions within the country or within the world is overwhelming, because even I think when we were talking, you take United States tax laws, which vary by state, which are complicated. Then you also have tax laws, regulatory requirements for tax laws in different countries, and then GDPR within Europe. There's a lot of regulatory requirements. I don't envy you, nor do I understand how you can keep up with it all, because those often change as well. So I commend you for your efforts and being able to keep up with the 21 localizations that you had mentioned.
This definitely not easy, but yeah.
So when you mentioned global and regulatory requirements, would you please provide some examples of the type of regulatory requirements or global regulatory requirements that are something or challenges that you're presented with?
Yes. Yeah, you already mentioned taxes. And taxes can be different from country to country, but very often, especially when it comes to European Union, and not only European Union, the most of countries outside of Canada, United States, we have VAT. So the VAT, this is not country-based feature, because if I'm not wrong, from our localization, Microsoft localization on United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, these 4 countries don't have VAT, but all other countries have VAT, and even more, you only have partner-based localization, the more these countries are using VAT. So everything what is connected with VAT, this is a regulatory, but at the same time, this is a global feature. On the other side, I can announce something. Maybe people didn't read and they didn't saw on directions. For example, one new global feature we are preparing. It will come in April. So maybe it will be the first time for many of them, sustainability module. And this is definitely absolutely new thing. People call this accounting of 21st century. So, we were thinking if this is a regulatory feature or not. We can treat this as a sustainability, ESG, all these connected things as a something new. But again, this is required by the law in European Union, then the IFRS standards. So here and there, this is still not mandatory in all countries, but it is becoming to be in European Union. It will be mandatory for the most of companies in next 2-3 years. So we decided to deliver this again as a global feature, and it will take, of course, a few waves to be finished. But this is something again as a global. So next example, invoicing and so on and so on. That means not exactly only with VATs, not only with taxes. There are many other things we can treat as a global.
So that's interesting. So you had mentioned that the sustainability module will be new for 2024 Wave 1, and I'm assuming will be available in public preview a month before. Has any information been published on the features and the functionality of the sustainability module? I can't remember the last time a new module was added to the application. I think we've had the same ones for quite some time. They've been expanded upon. A lot of changes have occurred over the years.
Nothing new.
This is actually something that's new. Can you explain a little bit about what the sustainability module will do within Business Central? Understanding that this is the first release and it will take several waves and updates to fully allow the product or the module to evolve to meet the global needs.
Let's see what I can say in this moment. For this first wave, we will build foundation for this. Not only framework, it will be functionality so you can use it, but it will not be on such high level of automations. It will be more or less foundation ready for expanding next waves. Expanding will be connected with what Microsoft will do additionally and what other ISVs, because we don't want to limit it only on ourselves. For the beginning, journals, we will have entries, we will have some kind of chart of account for different emissions. different categories, subcategories, calculations, because there are existing calculations. Sometimes what your emission, maybe you will get it from invoice and you can manually enter emission from, for example, when you buy flight tickets, maybe you can get an invoice, so you can manually do it, but sometimes you don't know. You are just driving a car and your car, you passed with your car, I don't know, 100 miles. So you need somehow to calculate what is emission based on that. And we have some formulas with emission factors. So these things will be covered in first release. It's no automations, just collecting and finishing entries, but collecting with manually and with different formulas. And after that, we will continue to make more automations and maybe even more. But I cannot go further. What will come first? We need to build this foundation. I really hope it will be ready for public preview, because this is building everything scratch. It requires a lot of work. We hope it will be ready before April wave.
Oh, no, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing. And just as a high level, would you say the sustainability module will help track the depletion or the use of resources over a period of time from the environment and from natural use within the application for those requirements? I know sustainability is a big topic in a lot of areas, which rightly so. I know here I see a lot of the resources that the planet has are being used for a lot of different processes or even for living. And it's nice to be able to have the ability to track them through the process of a business.
Yeah, and even there we need to find the right measure, because Microsoft has a sustainability manager or cloud for sustainability solution. So we have big solution, and this is really powerful one. But mostly this is for enterprises. This is really powerful, but if you're SMB with 5 or 10 users, it can be maybe too complicated, and we decided to make something smaller. So we will not go so far, because if you need a really complex solution, we have it. But we want to make something for SMBs on the first place, so you can collect everything what is required by the law, and let's say even more. Then getting some additional benefits, because this is already embedded in an ERP. This is not independent solution. It will be embedded in ERP. So maybe we can automate here and there collections, and maybe even more. We will open this solution. It will be absolutely extendable through APIs, through additional extension, so partners can build industry specifics, because we don't have, for example, in business center transportation model. And probably we can assume that a really huge amount of emissions will come from transport. So we don't have it, but there are a lot of ISVs, and they already have these transportation models, so they can easily extend their, or some other ISVs, they can easily extend our solution, use this foundation, and add industry specifics on top of that. So we are trying to find the right measure to provide a lot, but not to make this overcomplicated. So this is actually the biggest challenge.
That is a big challenge. I say often when I speak with everyone, sometimes the more we add to Business Central, my big fear is that the application itself would become too complicated and difficult to use while I keep adding features and functionality and make changes. So I think the approach of keeping it as a basic model and measure and have some measures that can be used by most businesses that a partner can expand or extend upon, or a customer, if they do their own development, can extend upon to give them what they need is great. But another, you had mentioned sustainability with regulatory requirements. I have spoken with businesses that may not have the sustainability. I can't even say that word right now for the moment. The sustainability regulations, but they still like to provide that information to their customers. So it's a new feature, a new module that can be used to provide more information to your customers and also track yourself, your sustainability measures without having to worry about it from the regulatory requirements. But I think we all may think that ultimately everybody will have that requirement in the future.
Yeah, as I said, first, okay, we have some regulatory requirements, and this is something what will, okay, we cannot say enforce us because we cannot deliver everything. We don't have, for example, payroll, even if this is regulatory feature. That means we don't deliver everything. But we decided this is important for the future. This is 21st century again accounting model, so we need to look not in ours. I am 50 plus. So we need to see, next generation in business center, next generation probably be much more green than we are. So we need to look in their attitude through accounting models and so. This is first, a regulatory part. But what you mean for customers? You want to show customers, but there are additional to you for shareholders. For other
Yes.
owners, you want to prove because maybe you will not get investment if you don't. We cannot predict, but it sounds that this is really important for many, many people. And that's good that finally we understand that we need somehow to help our earth and to leave something to. I'm grandfather and I want something left for my grandson in the
Yeah.
future.
No,
This is important.
I agree with you. I'm excited for this. What you were saying is so powerful from many angles. One, focusing on the future and the next generations is important. Humans, you say, as far as conserving the resources of Earth, humans to me are the most destructive animal on the planet, and we destroy just to destroy. I mean, some things we do just for what people call fun, but it's really destructive to the Earth's resources. So it's nice to see that there is some focus, and then also the forward thinking behind the Business Central product. You had mentioned the next generation or the decision makers that are going to use the application may have a different mindset, as you mentioned, to focus on sustainability. So to have that in there also adds to the life of the application and shows and validates that it's extremely important to think for tomorrow's decision makers, right? It's not only just what we're used to today, but as we age, we will move to hopefully retire. I hope I get to retire one day.
You got to leave that foundation. It's awesome that you guys are building that foundation for people to build upon in the future, and so that they can succeed of what you built. So that's awesome.
I'm excited for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more information on it and hearing more about it. And when it's released, we'll have to speak with you again so you can talk about the things with us that you're not allowed to talk to us in a recorded format. And you talked about the regulatory and the localizations requirements. How are the localizations managed? How are the localizations completed? What goes into determining what is a localization versus what's part of the base app or the system app?
This is a really tough question.
I told you when we spoke that be ready, have some coffee and get ready, because you have one of the you have a very difficult position, I think, with the application, because you deal with localizations and regulations, and it's a very difficult challenge because
that changes all the time.
It's important because people have to do something by law typically. So it's a little challenge for you. I don't envy you in that position, but I think you do a great job with it.
But even yes, it is tough, but it can be fun. Even legislation can be fun. Start to dig and to understand. It can be.
Someone told me that it's fun to walk on glass too, but I'm not going to do it.
Okay, it depends. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it can be very similar as walking.
I think that it can be.
Yeah, first, the biggest challenge will be, and it is actually to make this right strategy. What is a regulatory feature? Because everything can be treated as a regulatory feature. Whatever we look, every time we can say, yes, in my country I'm doing this way, another way. So we need to have strict rules. What is regulatory feature? What is not? And so we have some official strategy. For example, if I start to speak, what is? This is a big list, but for example, I mentioned payroll delivering. And we can, all of us, we can agree that payroll calculations because of taxes and this is mandatory by the law in, if I'm not wrong, in all countries. Meaning with these 21 countries. So it is mandatory.
If there were a country that didn't have taxes, I don't mean to interrupt you, but if there were a country that didn't have taxes, it would be the most populated country on the planet. I'm just letting you know.
I know for one country, but I will not say loud because maybe I'm wrong. So this is not in our localization, but there is minimum one country with no taxes for payroll. But we can talk another time. But again, even if you don't have taxes, you need to have some rules how you calculate it payroll. So more or less, this is regulatory features but we don't have it. First, this is so country specific. They're definitely not too similar. Maybe there are too similar payroll, but this is definitely absolutely country specific. Then, secondly, is an ERP the right place for payroll calculation? You cannot put everything in ERP. I remember long ago, before I joined Microsoft, I had some implementation, and one of my customers asked me to put, temperature per day, 3 times per day to the ERP. Why? We can put whatever we want in tables, but this is not nature place for this type of information. ERP is not for that. So payroll, yes, we can treat payroll for financial information. Financial information we finish in general ledger. That's okay. But there are much better user interface, user experience for payroll, some other software. So we are not against if our partners build as ISVs payroll on top of Business Central, but I think it can be maybe a much better idea to use different user experience to create different solutions and to integrate with Business Central. So this is not in our scope. We don't deliver payroll. Then now we can argue about that. For example, specific banks formats. We are support bank integration, but not going to specific bank formats because there are probably hundreds, maybe thousands specific bank formats, and we cannot support all of them. Maybe we can talk now. It would be a good idea to have, but not making mistake. Forget to update one. It is a huge risk, and probably for us, it is much not for us, for partners and for clients. It is much more secure if they have specific ISV who is taking care about, I don't know, 5 bank formats, because they will really update all the time. Because if you have thousands of different things, probably you will fail somewhere. And this is not something what we are doing. So we have some that's what we are delivering as regulatory feature, and this is the most challenging to find what we are covering. So next step is what you mentioned. What is part of base app? And this is something I don't have a right answer. First, we can this from 2 different point of views. First, there are a lot of things in a base apps, country-based base apps, because this is our legacy. This is something what we already have. And another part, when we have new regulatory feature, what to do? We need to keep this as 40, or maybe it can appear tomorrow in another countries. What to do to again and again, or immediately? Because there are 2 different things. First is okay. Now, this is not a solution we created a few years ago. This is old, and there are pros and cons because of that. Mostly we are using benefits from being so old, 30 plus years and these good things. But old approach was to have localizations. Idea, actually, minimum my strategy and my plan is to delocalize, as we are calling all these countries. I don't know exactly when now because this is not so easy, but we succeed in last 2-3 years. We delocalized first India, Czech Republic, Swedish. We did with Sweden, yes, last release. With this wave, we delocalized Iceland as well, and now we have planned for countries to localize country by country. This is another one is to delocalize feature by feature. Very often you will find a really complicated localization in some countries. It doesn't mean that we need to delocalize this country in one hit because it can be maybe too risky. But isolate some of specific features can be reused in some other countries. It can be much easier in, I don't know, in 2 years, for example, to delocalize this complicated localization. So not easy topic. For example, now recently we delivered this non-deductible VAT. What happened? We had non-deductible VAT in Italy, Belgium, and Norway. But other countries, all VAT countries, actually, they need it. They need it because now they have. But continuing this way, in one moment, nobody can support all these databases, and we decided to analyze it. Let's create a common layer for all VAT countries with non-deductible VAT, and now it will be much easier for these 3 countries to delocalize them. Then now we are doing this same approach with invoicing. We already deliver, for example, invoice in some other countries, and this is really complicated to support all of them. 2 of them, yes, but now almost all countries will introduce the invoicing, and having different architecture. It will be too complicated for Microsoft partners. Just imagine if you are a partner and you have now big client with a localization in Mexico, Germany, Denmark, probably Serbia, combination of partner-based localization and Microsoft localization. And now you need to support 5, 6 different architectures. So we decided to create common layer framework for invoicing, and it will be the same for Microsoft localizations and partner-based localizations. On top of that, just add few small things specific for this local market, because you will have a specific endpoints for communication with government agencies in this country, and maybe specific format. The format can be common. If this is, for example, PayPal, it can be common for much more countries. Doing this, delocalizing feature, country by country as well. And on top of that, as we need to do a new feature, we need to find a way how to do it, if this is global or not. So we have a challenge because in Denmark we have a huge package of local features in this way, because we have new Danish Bookkeeping Act and we are enforced to introduce many new things. And for all of them, first step was, let's review what we need to do here. If there is a chance it can be reused in other countries, let's globalize it. Okay, we will enforce Danish customers, they must use because this is by the law. But for other customers, it will not be enforced, but you can voluntarily enable if you want. If you do not want, it will be just an app. You don't need to install it. Or if you have installed, you can uninstall and it will not be a problem for you. But if you put much more specifics in the regulatory features to global app, it can be too complex. As you mentioned in one moment, we will make so complicated standard patterns. So these things are big challenges to make the right decision. And of course, I'm a human being, and definitely I admit I'm making a lot of food. That's normal. I'm trying, I'm giving the best for myself. And when I say for myself, I'm not one person who is doing this. I have a big team, and I'm really proud with the people I'm working with. All of them are really great people, and they're in communication with other colleagues, PMs, with Microsoft. You have some feeling, but this is not if I can or I cannot, but sometimes it is much better to get few different on the same topics. We can make better decision, but of course sometimes we are making some mistakes, and that's life.
No, I think everybody, you're doing a great job with the application. The delocalization, I think, is important, and I will keep going back. It is a difficult balance. I do not wish to be in your position, because there is the challenge of complexity versus functionality. And if you make it difficult to implement, then it takes longer. And if they're what I will call failed implementations or dissatisfied implementations, it doesn't look well for the application. But another key point that you covered with the delocalization, I've come across several conversations where customers had offices. One was in Australia, one was in the United States, and one was in Europe, and they wanted to have them all within the same tenant or same environment. And they couldn't, because they needed to have separate implementations, I guess, for the sake of the conversation. So like you said, you have several different applications or several different layers, but if you could get within one application one environment where you have all three of your countries running with different configurations, that would be a win.
Yeah.
We stop. I'm not sure if this is the best approach. I don't say no or yes. Earlier we said explicitly no this way. Now we don't talk no. But personally, I'm not sure if this is the best approach to environment actually database. Why? Now imagine more specific things in Denmark, and we must do it. If we want to be certified solution to sell, we must work this way. And just imagine now you have another localization and you will work against privacy rule in your country because there are some rules we will enforce all Danish tenants to work like that. And this is something we must do by the law. But if you have US localization on top of that, you will work against the law. So, or another way, if you have, for example, you have US company and you install Danish localization there, yeah, it will be good, but you will not be compliant with Danish regulations. Then further, for example, Germany, if I'm not wrong, they must have data kept in a German Asia Asia data center. So there are a lot of legal issues with this approach. And now I cannot say if earlier I was thinking it would be really good, but now I am not 100% sure. We started to speak this direction in actually not to speak. We just opened a question. My colleague Predrag and I, we opened this question sessions, providing one form, asking people to why they would like to have common localizations, what they will use. I'm not against making, but we need to be very careful if we are going this way. And currently, this is not. First, I we would like to collect as more information as possible to see having different countries, different localizations in the same implementation. Maybe we can resolve this another way. For example, now we introduce intercompany between different environments. So this is not anymore blocker. So maybe we can resolve some issues another way. I don't say yes or no, but let's enable as more as possible as easier localizations, minimum. What if we have W1 for all localizations? On top of that, it will be much easier for ISVs. So very often you cannot install some really good ISV feature because it cannot work with your base app. But enabling all localization as extensions, it will be much better. So you will have a broad market with the 5,000 plus, if I'm not wrong, different apps from App Source, and they can work in all countries. This is something, but minimum. This is minimum what we want to enable.
Okay, so you do recommend, and I'm sorry if I didn't get this. You do recommend that if you have a client that has business in different countries, that they stick to the localization and try not to cram it somewhere in one place.
Well, I think that was hit upon was, I don't know how you remember all of these regulatory requirements, because it's some of that point was where the data resides. So it's not only putting it all within a database with all of the localizations, but one government may require that the data resides in a specific country over another. So if you're trying to put everything within the same environment, it's difficult. But the expansion of, again, within Wave 2023 Wave 2, the intercompany across environments
should help that
minimize the push for someone to have one environment with many countries, because now they can do those intercompany transactions. And also, can you do consolidations across environments?
Okay, now there are still some missing things, but we have backlog about that. And idea is to enable all these, whatever is multi-company, multi-country, to enable is to work through different environments. We know that, again, there are some missing features. I know from on my desk, there is a specific situation in European Union that you can work in other country, not founding new company, but you will get different VAT number for the VAT number in this country. So this combination multiple VAT numbers you can have for your company, but for your customers, your vendors, this is something that we don't have, but this is in my backlog, and this is really important. It can be one of reasons why people would like to have everything in one database, but we have not everything. Yes. I don't know what is everything is really. I cannot say everything, but everything what we collected so far, we have in our backlog, and we are looking how what is the best way to resolve this thing, because there are a lot of legal issues in combining databases, and sometimes you can now not with it, but tomorrow, the government just said no, you cannot work this way, and what to do? You already combine databases, you plan, see government more and more. They're getting more rigid laws, so I don't expect they will provide us easier work.
So I'm curious, how do you manage, and if you're a partner and you're working with a client, how do you find that information to help them decide if you're doing the right thing or not, if you should have separate localization? Because right now it's kind of like, Google search, read some documents. Is there a good place for partners to look? So what's the best approach for the clients?
We have documentations, and all the time we are repeating compilation in the same database is not something what we are recommending. It doesn't mean this it is not possible with Microsoft, but if you are building localization by your own as a partner, you can combine more countries. Then nobody can say the most of ex-Yugoslavia countries, they have pretty similar regulations. So create common localization for, I know, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro. You can do it. Technically, this is possible. But again, in one moment, maybe it will be too complicated for you to support it. There are still some different rules, and this is not easy to isolate. Not system work this way as you have in Serbia, to work a little bit different. It can be challenges. So currently we are recommending not to do it in different environments. Yes, you need to pay. I'm talking about cloud. You need to pay for an additional environment, but you don't need to pay for new users. You can use the same users there. So when you calculate, this is not so expensive. Okay, if you have one user, this will keep one in 5 different countries, but we can agree this is not common scenarios for business centers. So if you work in 5 country users and paying for additional environment instead of paying for additional users, yeah, I think this is not so expensive. Okay, now my view that we can discuss if this is okay or, but it will be much more secure, all localization isolated. And yes, we need to promise and we need to do to add all these missing features to work with.
That's good. I think, just with the said, any partner that's working on, any individual that's working on an implementation, it's important to be aware that there's different regulatory requirements before you start setting up a customer anyway. So I've worked in implementations where some partners work with partners in other countries or other agencies in other countries because they have a better understanding of the local regulatory requirements, because you want to make sure that you set up and you do what's proper for the customer. We've been talking about the localizations. How are the localizations maintained? So you have a lot of work here, because now you have the global app, which you're bringing in the localizations, but who maintains the localizations? How are the localizations created, maintained, and implemented?
In
line with the regulatory, yeah.
Yeah.
That means how we know what we need to do. This is the biggest challenge, to collect all upcoming regulatory requirements. And yeah, reading, trying to find, we cannot all the time count on the big, big four, for example, agency, because, there are so many different laws, and maximum 5 to 10% of all these different regulations are connected with ERP. So if we are trying to find all changes, probably will be overheld. We cannot deliver on a time everything what is really important. So I need to be honest that the best results are coming from our community. We have some forms, and I'm trying to make good marketing to announce people, AKMS, BC alerts. Go there and you can add whatever you think this is important. You can just put one sentence, upcoming feature, I don't know, in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, wherever you, and it will be good for us to provide just one URL to load this law. Even this is, I know, in Spain and this is in Spanish. Okay, we will find a way how we will translate it. And yeah, you will choose a country. If you want to be contacted, you can provide your information. This is not required. You can do it absolutely anonymously. And this is what we are doing. And we have a really good communication with partners. Then we have our BC Yammer. But through all these channels, we are collecting a lot of important information. And I think it is the best way. Busy central partners, let's say in 99%, they're pretty sure what should be covered with localizations. Sometimes it can be maybe a little bit more. Someone would like to have a little bit more, but this is now, again, finding the right measure, what should be localization, should not. But in general, we have a really good communication because, just reading the law, this is really time consuming. But if you have partners and they know what should be, and, every time in one country, partners who are doing the business there, they know what will be expected in a few months, few years, getting this from their side, and this is, from my point of view, the best way collecting information. But we are using few different channels, with local regulatory agencies, the common regulatory life cycle management together with finance operation team. We are collecting all of these features through different channels, but again, I am the most satisfied what we get from our community. And
it is
if
important.
I can say, I'm the most proud on our community. I don't know if any ERP solution has better community than Business Central.
100%. We have 100%, one of the best community.
I say that the community is such a great community because everybody seems to, I don't know if it's because it's a small, it's a large community, but it feels small because a lot of community members know each other. A lot of community members will share information with each other just for no other reason to share information with each other. And then even over the past several years with Microsoft themselves, putting themselves in the community so that you're accessible in cases like this. You're willing to talk with us about Business Central applications. We've had the opportunity to speak with other members of your team and just listen to the community. And what I found that I admire is it's not just the partners, it's also the customers. Right. So the partners have one viewpoint of the use of the application, but the customers are also the ones that are using it day to day, because a partner can work through an implementation, work with somebody to set it up, but they're doing that one or two times. A customer is using the application every single day. So they have, the actions, and their feedback is also helpful to how can we make the application better from the end user's point of view. And I noticed a big shift over the past couple of years with the Microsoft group, which also enhanced the community because it's also pushed the community members to work together more as well and collaborate, which I like it. It's maybe it's because I'm old now, like a dinosaur, but I like the collaboration in the community.
I was on the other side of community. I was part of community as a non-Microsoft person earlier, so before I joined Microsoft, I could say, and I still can say, I love this product. Not I really love this product. And earlier, as a partner, as an MVP, some other person, I really wanted to have the best, even if I sometimes complain to this product group where I am now. This is because I wanted to have the best product in the world. And now, if you look in my internal documentation, what I want to be, I said, I want to be program manager for the best SMB product in the world. This is now I, but in general, we are really trying to do it, and we can do it only through a real community, and real community is in both directions, business and with users. We need to be very close with the partners, big partners deliver implementations, but as you mentioned, they are using these apps every day. And if we don't know this real feedback from the first, for really users, from the first site workers, we don't know how they really feel. Because your partner can transfer this feedback to us, but this is not the same. When you talk with this is much different. You can get all real feelings expressed for themselves, and this is really really important. And I'm more than happy. First, Europe, yeah, we have a lot of directions. BC Tech Days, we have directions in the United States, in Asia, but we have user group summit only in the United States, and this is a really great experience. Having chance to talk with users is really important for us.
No, it is. It's great. It's important to be able to have that community feedback. I myself, I'm a huge fan of the product. It's in my blood because I've been using it for so long myself. I've been with it for over 24 years now. So it's all
we built a career behind that, and the community helped that as well. So I have a lot of love to the community and the product itself, because it allowed me to build a career behind that.
Yeah. And when you go to some conference, this is not going to conference, minimum from this central world. This is going to place to see so many friends. So every time,
yes.
I cannot count how many friends I can see on every conference, never mind which part of world. I can see so many friends, and really friends, never mind if they're from customers, for users, or from partners, or from Microsoft, because of countries, but they're really friends. And as you mentioned, you built your career. Yes, I built career, but I built my I got so many great friendships because of Navision, Nav, or Busy Central, whatever we call this. I can proudly say that I have friends in almost every country in the world. So I can go there and I can find minimum one friends in every country. This is really this is priceless. And I have all of these things because of Busy Central, because all of us, we really love this product, and this is really priceless.
Yeah, and especially the fact that all the friends you've made throughout the years, being in this community, you have the same passion and the same love towards the product. So, you got to give credit to that too. So that's awesome.
You mentioned the friendships. I myself have made a lot of friends in various countries through the community. But another thing with it, it's a lot of times you get to build the friendship with community members from other countries before you even meet them. You get to meet with them because everyone collaborates. You talk, like you had mentioned, the Yammer groups. I see people on Twitter, X, whatever it may be, LinkedIn. There's a lot of different avenues that everybody shares information. And then when you get to meet them in person, it's great. But it's also like you feel like you've known them for a long time, and you can pick up and just have a beer or two and be, get to see them in person and continue in your discussions, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think that 90% of my friends I found really, and then I met them face to face after a few months or years.
Yes,
which is it's not only for the community, but it's also technology. Technology has changed so much, but the ability to do that with video conferencing and recording such as this, you get to know everybody. One thing I keep asking you for, and it's been several times, but one of these days I will do it. Do you have any mugs?
I don't have with me because I traveled to Copenhagen. I didn't take with me, so you can just pretend I'm keeping busy much. But as I promised, pretend. Next time, you both of you will get busy mugs.
Okay, good. Because last time, when we sat down and spoke at Summit, you had one mug left. And that's what you said to me. So he was holding on to that mug like it was gold. I think I could have taken his wallet before he gave up that mug. So I keep asking you.
This is official promising, so I cannot fail.
Oh no, no. Yeah. I am going to save that this recording. So the next time I see you, I'm going to I won't even say hi. I will just record this on my phone and hit play.
Yes, for
Mug, please.
No, it's
when we meet in person, you will get BC Max.
Great, perfect. I'm looking forward to it because I was so close to it last time. You had it with you in your hands, and I couldn't get it. So, and I've even asked people to go to different conferences and locations where you work to see if they can
number of my sessions, and I'm giving one per session. So I cannot put so many of them to the baggage. Probably I have problem with custom control. So this is the reason.
No, I understand. So it's a hot little thing
next time for sure.
It's a hot little thing that you have there. Well, Aleksandar, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. You shared a lot of information. I know you have a lot to do, a lot of responsibility, and your time is extremely valuable. I appreciate you sharing this information with us and always participating with us and the other members of the community to share your information.
Thank you for all you do.
Can't thank you enough for all that you do and for all the headaches you help solve. You have a lot of headaches with the regulatory, global, and localizations and now sustainability that make it easier for the rest of us that use the application. But if anyone would like to contact you to discuss more about any of these issues, how can someone get in touch with you to see the information? And if you could repeat the link again as well, I think it was AKMS BC alerts for the notifications for ideas.
AKMS BC alerts. This is for regulatory features. In general, you can find me on again MS. You can find me on every social network. I'm on Twitter or X. I'm LinkedIn, so you can write me, and many people are writing me through direct messages, and that's okay. Maybe people sometimes think that I will not answer. And if I answer in 3-4 days, this is not because I don't want. I just didn't have enough time. But every time I am answering, sometimes this is a requirement I want to do, but minimum I will answer. So I am more than transparent. People can find me whenever they want. As all social networks, or if you are a member of BC Yammer, I'm there, and this is absolutely open place, so we can discuss whatever, we can use whatever we want. So even if we fail something, let us know. And on the end, good feedback is not the feedback. That's nice to get. You're good. Microsoft is the best. So, but real feedback is bad feedback. I don't know how to improve myself if I don't get this kind of feedback. So that day, I will not be angry if you've gone a long way. That's okay, because only one way to grow up is to know what you need to improve. If you don't know it, on the end, you will not stay in the status quo, you will go down. And you really need to know what you need to improve, and I'm always more than open for any kind of feedback.
That is such an important statement to end with, because as you had mentioned, you can't improve what you don't know. And if you don't listen to the feedback or acknowledge the feedback, you can't get any better. And sometimes hearing the feedback, you can make changes, or sometimes even give an explanation as why something is a certain way, and maybe the person that has the feedback may understand better. So the communication and the sharing of information is what's key. But feedback is vital for growth, in my opinion. It's necessary. Well, sir, thank you again. I know you're busy. I appreciate you. And now you could, it's evening time, so maybe you could go to bed or have a beer before bed.
No, this is not too late. This is something PM, so this is just a normal time. Even here, I can go to take some dinner. It was really my talk with you. I know you're famous in community. You have a lot of followers, so it was really, it is honest fun with you. So.
No, thank you. It was a
Until
pleasure.
Next time, we see face, and I bring my mugs.
Yes.
Well, now I know if the next time we're in a place together, if you run away, then I know you don't have the mugs with you. So,
the last thing I promised, my mugs on a user group summit. But what happened? I didn't get my baggage with me. they lost. I said, come on, I promised
no.
I will bring Mag some sessions. But luckily, I got the same day as I started with my first session. So sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I
awesome.
understand it. How it's a good fun thing, but thank you for even doing that for the community. It's something that a lot of people like to talk about, and it brings people together. So anything that anyone does to bring individuals together, I admire. But thank you again, and we appreciate it. I look forward to talking with you again soon. We will have to schedule something after Wave 1 of 2024 to talk about sustainability, which we can, once that comes out in the schedule, we can talk about that then, because if for some reason things are delayed or don't happen, we can schedule that at a further date. But I would like to speak with you about that after I get a chance to play with it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again.
I'd be more than happy to join you.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you, Chris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.